Welcome to the latest episode of Digital Dentistry Decoded. I'm Dr. Ahmad Al-Hassiny here from the Institute of Digital Dentistry, serving as your guide through the dynamic landscape of digital innovation in dentistry. In today's special segment, the AI Diagnostics Game Changer, we have the privilege of going one-to-one with an industry pioneer, Dr. Alex Sanders, founder of the revolutionary Diagnocat system. Harnessing the power of artificial intelligence, Diagnocat marks the arrival of AI in dentistry through its cloud-based diagnostics technology that is transforming patient outcomes. Over the course of this riveting chat, Alex will be uncovering deep insights into how Diagnocat is pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI. We'll also learn how this solution is minimizing errors and guesswork for dental professionals via automated, accurate, and comprehensive diagnostic reports, and how Diagnocat's technology is shaping up to be a game changer for our industry. The implications are enormous. By enhancing diagnostics, AI can help tackle the shocking reality that only 10% of patients' dental problems get adequately addressed. As Alex will explain, Diagnocat aims to change the status quo through better detection, better doctor-patient communication, and raising the bar for the quality of care globally. You won't want to miss this episode and this discussion with a true digital dentistry trailblazer. The future is already here. Stay tuned as we dive deep into AI diagnostics in dentistry. Today we are very lucky once again to have another leader in the digital space. Today with us we have Alex Sanders, who is the founder of Diagnocat. A big welcome, Alex. How are you doing?
Hi, thank you for having me here. I'm great. I just came back from Toronto. I'm now in Dubai. I'm a little bit jet lagged, sorry for that, but I hope we're going to be good.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I've seen you jet setting all around the world. How's your trips been? You've been all over the world. You've been to the Koi Center. And is there any interesting dentistry stuff that you've witnessed?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm very excited to travel and see how dentistry is organized and what's new and what problems they experience. Because when I started my company, I really thought that dentistry is similar all across the world. Teeth are teeth. But it turned out that it's not the case. The business models are different, culture is very different. What people think about their teeth and what doctors think about their practices. In every country, it differs very much. So that's what I learned.
Wow, that's really interesting. And you mentioned your company, that you started your company. So that's Diagnocat for those who don't know. And some of our listeners may not actually know what Diagnocat is. I mean, I am a user of Diagnocat in my practice and my associates love it. But please, if you could explain it in a nutshell to those who are wondering, what is Diagnocat? What does it do? Please go ahead.
Thank you. Well, Diagnogat is a dental artificial intelligence. I developed it together with a group of genius engineers around 3 or almost 4 years ago. What it does, it's a cloud-based service. You don't need anything. You don't need to install any software. Well, what you need is a web browser, literally a website. But it integrates with your imaging devices, with your X-rays, PAN, or even CBCT. Once you did an image, it automatically sends it to the cloud, and very powerful computers process this image and detect all anatomies and conditions that are out there in just seconds for 2D and about 3.5 minutes. A doctor will get a full on-screen radiology report. Think of another level of information, another level of interpretation of our digital images. We know from hundreds of clinics that are using Diagnocat, like thousands of clinicians that are using Diagnocat all across the world, that it hugely reduces the influence of human factor and therefore omissions and errors, and it helps to create trustworthy relationship with the patients because It's not the dentist, the hitman anymore. It's not the dentist, the bad guy who is telling the patients about the problems. It's the AI. And the dentist is a good guy telling the patients about the solutions. There are a lot of benefits, and I hope we will have an opportunity to discuss all of them. You're one of the first users in Oceania region, and I know that your doctors use it intensely. So I would also like to hear some of your feedback on how deep you understand, how deep into digital workflow.
For sure. No doubt. Yeah. Look, our associates in our practice, I mean, for those who don't know, I work in a group practice with my father and my brother, and we own and operate over 35 dental chairs in Wellington. And it's funny, you roll out some tech across your group, whether it's one chair or 10 plus chairs. And one of the key things I found with any technology is that it needs to be easily delegatable and easy for the team to take on board, because that's one of the biggest parts of resistance you will face. But yeah, look, I look forward to our chat. It's funny you mentioned that it's a few seconds for a 2D image, and for those who don't visualize what that means, is that Diagnocat, you can give it a OPG or a bite wing, and it will diagnose those for you. I'm really excited today because AI is probably one of the hottest topics in dentistry. So we're super lucky to have Alex here and pick his brain. Now, Alex, how many different diagnoses can it do for 2D x rays?
Well, of course, our flagship is 3D, and that's what we started with because it's where I saw the biggest hurdle for the dentist to interpret 3D. But then we jumped into 2D because it's still our bread and butter. And Diagnocat can diagnose over 35 different conditions. Of course, I need to say detect because it's in the legal terms, it is precise way to say it. We don't say diagnose, right? Because the diagnosis is basically done based on your oral exam, additional tests, and radiographic examination. So on the radiography images, we only detect things. We aid dentists not to miss out things. So on 2D, we detect more than 35 conditions.
Amazing. And I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, a lot of doctors, they don't really see, from my understanding, the major benefits in AI when you talk about 2D x-rays, because they always think I can read 2D x-rays, I can read bioinks, I've been doing it since dental school. But definitely the fact that your company was one of the first, if not the first, to do 3D, that was kind of groundbreaking. And that's actually why I approached you in the first place to try Diagnocat, because you were one of the first. And I totally agree with you that a lot of doctors, more and more, let's say, adopting CBCT into their practice. But the reality is, apart from some regions in the world where there's a lot of regulation who can take them and read them, I feel a lot of doctors, the training is missing. I mean, I recently graduated from dental school. I like to say recently, but it was over 7, 8 years now. And we had no 3D x ray training at all. So when I go out in the real world, I either have to train a lot, which is quite hard, or use something that will aid in my diagnosis, like
Right,
Diagnocat, because
right.
it's a game changer. I mean, how many diagnoses, or let's say things that can detect, how many conditions can it detect on a 3D x ray?
Well, I completely agree with you that 3D makes a lot of sense because it is much more diagnostically valuable. And from the radiation point of view, like FMX is not a big difference from a modern CBCT machine.
By FMX, sorry, you mean full mouth x ray, for those who may not know the
Right.
terminology, like
Yeah, yeah.
OPG compared to CBCT.
Well, OPG is probably, of course, less exposure, less radiology exposure, but full mouse series that is still big in such countries as North America, like in the United States. Every patient, every 6 months, they get a full mouse series. It's like
Wow.
18 images. That's a lot of exposure. It is still a lot of time because it's done by dental assistants. So sometimes the quality of the images are not as good and they're being retaken. So I assume that CBCT can even do less harm in terms of radiology than an FMX. I'm not a radiologist to make such claims, of course. I'm a clinician and based on the common sense. And the answer is 3D can not only be diagnostically valuable, but you can use it for multiple treatment planning purposes. Diagnocat detects over 65 conditions
It's
on
crazy.
CBC. Also, you can do a lot of crazy things with CBCT because it not only detects things, but Diagnocat can convert CBCT into STL format automatically. With this data, you can create a digital avatar of a patient and use it for whatever reason for surgery, implant planning, orthodontics. There are plenty of things that are very useful for the clinicians.
I think that was actually one of the number one features that people used to talk about when they mentioned Diagnocat was this DICOM to STL conversion. Because before Diagnocat, it was, and it still really is quite hard to do. And I think one of the reasons that so many people get into Diagnocat is for this amazing feature to turn a CBCT X-ray into a STL, and also all the automatic segmentation and how well it does it. So it can make STL individuals of all the bones and teeth, and I understand airways, I believe.
Yes, correct.
It's incredible. Look, before we jump into Diagnocat and AI, because I'm really curious to hear what you think about AI in the industry and what you've seen in terms of people's adoption of AI, especially over the years, because I think that's changing. I mean, to me, AI is one of the biggest hype topics beside 3D printing and dentistry right now. But I think something that'd be really interesting is just to understand how you came up with Diagnocat. Like this is some super genius level stuff that you were the founder and creator of this incredible technology. Like, how did it come to you to come up and create this software?
Well, at that time, I was a pros. I was practicing dentistry, and at the same time, I ran my own group practice. I knew that quality of dentistry is in direct proportion with its financial success. So I tried to find all the ways to improve our quality. I went to Harvard Business School and attended healthcare management program. One thought leaders, Professor Bomer, shared a great concept: how to manage quality in healthcare and in the industry. It basically explains that there are five levels to manage quality. It is culture, then resources, then processes, then treatment outcomes, and the highest level to manage quality is so-called management of clinical decisions.
Cool.
He explained that the healthcare leaders, like big hospitals in the United States, are pioneering this process where when a patient comes to an office, visits a healthcare practitioner, shares his complaints, and the clinician puts all the information into the computer, and the smart machine helps to come up with the treatment plan and the diagnosis. And I realized that it's a perfect fit for dentistry. At the same time, computer vision, image recognition technologies were emerging. And I just connected these dots. And I was lucky to meet people who then become my partners. They're computer engineers. It was amazing. I just gave them a bunch of CBCT images, and in 3 months, they created a prototype. I couldn't believe you upload an image, and this AI technology says that this one tooth has a caries and this one tooth has a lesion. It was amazing. That's
That
that's
is
how I
amazing.
came up with it.
That's really incredible. Seriously, masterstroke and quite ahead of your time. I mean, you said you started this 3 to 4 years ago. Now,
Right.
that's pre Chat GPT becoming common terminology in people's mouths. So, what's your experience been with AI in dentistry? I imagine at the start quite slow, quite an uphill battle. And how have you seen it progress over the years? You were just at the Koi Center. I imagine they were quite interested in maybe utilizing this technology across their audience. But what have some of your thoughts been on AI and its adoption in dentistry?
It is exciting to observe how the technology is taking over because when I created this, even my close friends, my colleagues were not in a hurry to jump into. And I completely get it. I completely understand because we dentists, we're conservative. If we tried everything that we were offered, then our practices would be a mess.
True.
But right now, especially in North America, it's a huge trend. You know that the competition there is very tough. There's a number of companies that are backed with the VCs. They raised more than hundred of millions of dollars,
Wow.
and they're all over this place. Right now, I would say it's just must have thing. Maybe a couple of years ago, it was only for the early adopters, but today I think you just can't afford not to have it because the patients are aware about AI. Everybody is using Chat GPT because for the patients, it's equal. If a dentist has technology, it means he's a good dentist. If a dentist is using AI, it means that he or she is on the cusp of technological development and the quality of treatment will be good enough. That's how they make their choice. And imagine if your practice doesn't have AI and your concerned patient goes to a practice around the corner and they do have AI. What would they say? So now I understand that I'm the most interested person in selling this technology, but I do it from the bottom of my heart. I truly believe that it is right now so affordable. The price for this is no brainer. We're one of the most affordable AI companies in the world. I know, but still, all other competitors, it's very, very affordable for the dentist. That's because if it helps you to prevent one problem or find at least one additional condition a month, it immediately pays off.
For those who are listening about the price, just a rough idea. I know it may vary geographically, but what is the price for Diagnocat? A lot of people may be just wondering, it might be on their mind. Obviously, you can go to the Diagnocat website and go pricing options, guys.
Sure. We try to keep pricing very low because we believe that society will benefit from the technology. Our 2D AI is $120 a month. I think it's no brainer. For 3D, it's a little bit more expensive. We have plans like think of mobile cellular plans. It has limits. If you want to have 100 megabytes, it costs this. If you want to use more internet, it will cost a little bit more. It's the same here. If you at average do 5 CBCTs a month, it will probably cost you 250 a month. If you want to do 20 CBCTs a month, which is a lot for most of the practices, you would probably pay around $400, which is still much less than they spent to make radiological reports with third-party centers. So I think it makes a lot of sense
Yeah, no
in
doubt.
terms
And
of
look,
price.
price is there for those who are curious. So, back to the AI topic. Now, it must be kind of the start of this trend. I know the United States leads most digital dentistry trends. And in your eyes, do you see it as something that's going to grow exponentially in practices, or who's adopting this stuff? Is it the big DSOs and the big corporates, or is it the smaller guys with one or two chairs? Who does this make the most sense to, in your opinion?
I see that in North America, of course, DSOs lead this change because they all look for improving efficiency, increasing quality, and AI helps with that. And they have this power, I would say, levers to quickly adopt new technologies in their offices. And of course, for the AI companies, it is much easier to reach out to a huge DSO and make a big sale at a time than to reach out to multiple offices all across the country. But small companies and individual practices will follow, definitely.
And you see it like is the adoption right now in like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%, and you see it one day being like 60, 70%, or in your opinion, what's the adoption of AI? And AI is an interesting word because I think what we're really talking about is AI diagnostics, segmentation, because AI is in a lot of technology now. So CEREC has AI and there's a lot of CERECs around, but let's just specify and talk about AI diagnostics and segmentation. Is the market penetration right now under 5%, 5 to 10, or do you have any idea or opinions?
Well, I think it's still very, very low right now, but you're absolutely right. AI is just a term. In some aspects, it is driven by the hype because humanity is so excited with this new ability of computers to see. It's definitely a game changer, not only in dentistry, but for the entire humanity. Computers learned how to see, how to think, and we need to admit we live in a different world. I truly believe that AI will have 100% of the market in dentistry, not because it is pushed by certain companies, but because it's so organic, it's like, will eventually all dentistry be digital? Yes, of
Mm.
course it will eventually be digital, and AI is a part of this digitalization process, obviously.
And I totally agree with you. When you said that we live in a different world and it's kind of mind blowing, it really is. Anyone who hasn't used AI and who may be listening, I strongly suggest reach out to Alex, reach out to his team, and just give it a try. It really is mind blowing. I mean, when I used it, and this is not a sponsored post, Alex didn't flip me or wire me a few $100 before this. But when I used this in my clinic, especially with CBCT, when you upload a CBCT and then you expect it to be good because of all the hype, but then when you read the report that you get, it really is mind blowing. I can't personally diagnose over 60 things. I don't think many dentists can. And I see what you're saying in that one day this will be the standard of care. Much like how we all use search engines now, and it seems like many of us now use ChatGPT, it will just be how we do things in the future.
Right. Look what's happening with these big organizations in dentistry. Like all the leaders, we have like five top companies. They're all in AI space.
Totally. Itero, Planmeca, Straumann, they're all in the AI space. They're all looking at this very closely. You do a lot of diagnostics. I feel like you led the industry in a way with the segmentation, even though now there's over 20 companies that will do segmentation. There's a lot of segmentation companies for CBCT. I guess, what's your vision? How big does this go? Like, what are some of the interesting things that you're working on? I know in IDS you showed me some things. I'm not sure if we can discuss them here, but what's your vision for Diagnocat? Do you see it more than just a diagnostic tool? I mean, I'd love to hear your
Well,
thoughts.
the space becomes quite busy. There is a lot of competition out there because people see the opportunity. It's like with aligners. There's hundreds of aligners companies today. But I prefer not to be obsessed with the competitors, but to be obsessed with the customers. I care about the dentists and their patients. Of course, we don't have to forget about regulatory aspects. It is really tough in dentistry. I don't think that a lot of companies can make it. So I believe that eventually there will be, I don't know, maybe less than 10 AI companies in the world who provide the service. And it is reliable. And in addition to that, it's not only a challenge to make the technology, it's not only very difficult to come up with precise AI that doesn't make stupid errors. The most challenging thing in our profession is to make a product out of it that is used by the clinicians, that is aligned with their clinical routine processes. Because the most challenging thing for all AI companies is the churn rate is when people are excited, they start using it, but after a week or two, they stop. All companies are adopting their product so it is simpler, easier to use, especially for the team members, because not only the dentists are the users, very often it is hygienists and dental assistants. In general, people, like not only the dentist, people, they have very low computer IQ in general. What I hear very often, man, if it's more than 3 clicks, we're not going to use it.
That's hilarious. It's true. I totally understand that sentiment. And so, is your vision for Diagnocat just to keep updating it and make it simpler and simpler and simpler, or what's your overall
Yeah,
vision with Diagnocat?
my vision for the company is that we're a technological company, an artificial intelligence lab. We have a great team of engineers, and there is a lot of opportunities in dentistry, a lot of unsolved problems in all aspects of diagnostics, treatment planning, and treatment. And we will continue to come up with new solutions and tackle new problems that we understand while penetrating the market. For example, I can mention that exciting thing that I shared with you at the IDS was a treatment planning for implants and orthodontics. So imagine you make a CBCT, an intraoral scan, and a dental photograph, and just with a click of a button, within 5 minutes, AI creates a virtual avatar of a patient. It finds a missing tooth, places a crown. It's not a crown from a library, it's a crown that was created by AI, taking into account the anatomies of adjacent teeth. Then it finds the right size of an implant and places it crown down. And all you need to do is just figure out if the position of the implant is okay, click the button, and it will generate a guide for you.
That's amazing.
For orthodontics, with the same patient's avatar, with the same data, it can create an orthodontic setup, all orthodontic detections that the clinicians need, like cephalometric analysis, Bolton, anything that they need to come up with the diagnosis and the treatment planning for the orthodontist. They can generate either models or the virtual STL files of aligners. Then they can print aligners in their office. It's where we go. We're not there yet. The dentistry is not there yet, but we definitely within 3 to 5 years have such technologies in the market.
That's incredible. Honestly, that's like thinking this is some space age dentistry, you know? Couple of clicks, AI doing this stuff. I think the best way to think about it is you're going to be inspecting and correcting what the AI does. Rather than you do all the clicks, you'll be inspecting, checking it, making sure it's correct, and then proceeding. It's funny, like a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about AI. I think AI is quite a hype term that a lot of people use about their technology when it isn't really AI. What do you think some of the misconceptions dentists have? I know many are afraid it will take our jobs or something, but what are some of the things that you've come across with your discussions with dentists?
Well, the biggest misconception is that AI takes more time. Implementing AI will result in the dentist and the team members spend more time. But it's not true. The dentists go, I spend like 3 to 5 minutes to evaluate CBCT. And with your technology with Diagnocat, it takes me like twice as much. But for a trained oral radiologist, it takes about 40 minutes to detect all the conditions on CBCT and write a report. So when a dentist is telling me that it's 5 minutes, he's just missing so much stuff.
So he's checking the inferior alveolar nerve and the impacted wisdom tooth, and that's about it.
Yeah, and he or she missing all the incidental findings. And sometimes it can be really critical. It's the same with the team members. Dental assistants or hygienists don't want additional hurdle, but then their doctor would be upset because they missed something or they didn't do the pocket measurements. For example, in North America, regulators recommend that along the group of dental practices, you don't have to have more than 3 millimeters discrepancy among hygienists. And sometimes one hygienist says it's like 2 mil pocket depth, another one says it's like 7
Jeez.
with the same patient in like 3 months.
It's true. I mean, I reflect about simple diagnosis. I mean, there's that classic saying you ask five dentists for their opinion and you'll get six answers. You know, even in basic treatment planning, you will always have that human variation, unfortunately. That's part of it. Again, I guess that's where AI comes in because it's just so standardized. You can give the AI the same cone beam 100 times and it will always give you the same answer.
Yeah, that's true. Another thing is that some people think that it was just an opinion that surprised me. Some people said that it is for making money. So with AI, companies and dentists can make more money. That's a misconception. It's done by all for the patient's benefit. I didn't hear a lot of concerns about dentists losing their jobs, not in dentistry, because everyone understands that dentistry is about communication, about the relationship, about empathy, not about mechanical things. And AI does not replace the clinical thinking as we talked. It just helps you like a calculator.
True. I mean, I've been utilizing AI and I agree with the communication side of things. It's like you said, when you present this to a patient, it's strange. You can only experience it once you do it yourself. For some reason, they just accept treatment a lot more when it's coming from an AI. You don't come off as selling as much. You're just presenting information that this smart computer software has come up with. A lot of the time, the AI itself gives you a report. It's color coded. It clearly shows where the decay is, or where the issues is, or periapical lesions, or overhanging fillings. And it just makes even the communication so much more streamlined with the patient. Has that been your feedback from doctors?
It's not only the feedback, but we recently did a study in a group practice, and actually two group practices. One was in Europe, another one in the United States, and we got very similar results. We studied 8 months of data in a group of 4 or 5 clinics. We saw that they had 5,000 new patients.
Wow, that's
That
crazy.
was that was a very busy practice.
That's a busy place.
It's a group practice, a lot of treatment units, a lot of new patients. But we saw that these patients had like 5,000 of implant opportunities, missing teeth, non-restorables, and these practice only did 500 of implant cases. It was the same with endodontics. Patients needed around 3,000 of endodontic treatments, and these practices only perform a little bit more than 400.
Interesting. Is that just
Or
from the AI picking up periapical lesions?
it is both from Diagnocat picking up all endodontic problems like caries lesions with exposure to the pulp or periapical lesions and so on. We compared this data from Diagnocat with the data that they had in their practice management system. And the results were mind blowing. Treatment acceptance rate is a metric where we compare what a patient really needs towards what he got at the end of the treatment when he leaves our practice is around 10% across the market.
Jeez. So you think there's a widespread of underdiagnosis
I think it's not only under diagnosis, it's how the process of treatment is streamlined.
or communicated, perhaps?
There is a lot of reasons for that. Patients come in, we make consultations. Sometimes it is just communication problems. We give patients too much of information and they never show up. Or we start treatment, and by the time they need to do whatever preventative treatment, they're tired being in our office, or they don't have money, or their insurance doesn't cover the rest. That's a huge problem within dentistry. Can you imagine only 10% of the problems the patients really need to address are done? And that's the reason why oral disease is still the number one disease in the world, in human, by far. So I hope, and my vision is that AI can help to improve these outcomes, can help our profession to deliver better care. We were talking about communication. Of course, again, there's a number of reasons why it is happening, but communication is one of them. I think we're not taught in the institutions how to talk to the patients.
Not at all.
And time is different. We live in a time of social networks and open information. Dr. Google, because all these patients come home and Google what you told them. So we need to adopt. We cannot do the same thing that we've been doing all this time or 10 years ago. We need to change. We need to change your attitude to how to communicate with the patients better, how to give them information in a way it's simple and understandable. Of course, artificial intelligence can help us structure this information, make it simpler and better understandable.
Yeah, I mean, bold vision, and one, no doubt, there's a big need, no doubt, in the entire industry for what you basically explain, tools for dentists to help them with diagnosis, to help them with communication. I'm curious, as we are coming to the end of this episode, so you've been in the industry a long time, Alex, not only as someone who's part of the industry itself, but also as a clinician. What are some of the things that you've seen over the past few years that really sparked your interest and some of the changes to dentistry, apart from AI or maybe including AI? What are some of the things that excite you in dentistry?
There's a lot of change happening right now. We live in a time where economy is not stable in all the countries. We see sometimes increase, sometimes decrease of the patient's flow. There is a need to change. All the organizations within dentistry, they're seeking for something new, how to improve their efficiency, how to improve their patients' care, how to adopt new technologies better. A lot of new technologies are penetrating the market, like 3D printing, 3D scanners. There are a lot of clinic and there is a huge market share for such technologies. But I believe that it's not yet simple enough to be the standard of care across the globe. We still see a lot of team members saying that we don't want a 3D printer in our office because it's a hurdle for us. We still see general dentists don't want to scan cases and then the scanner is under a layer of dust in the corner. But it is changing right now. The companies come up with better technologies, again, simpler and redesigned so it is becoming more user friendly. And I think that we're at the stage where if you really want, you can turn your practice really digital. You have all components for it. I think like 5 years it was not possible. So
I
now
agree.
you have all very reliable 3D equipment, softwares like AI, planning tools. It is still for advanced dentists, but at least we now can do it. But the trend is to simplifying all those things. And I know that the big companies are working on it because their goal is to adopt this to general practitioners, to the biggest market in the world. So it will not only be available for, people like you, very advanced digital dentists, but for mass market. That's what I see right now happening. And of course, this trend with the DSOs, where the dentistry is led not by the clinicians, but by very experienced managers with the knowledge from other industries and dentistry. It very much changes our profession because they bring a lot of knowledge, they bring a lot of expertise. Today, quality of dentistry no longer belong to the dentist. It belongs to the leaders, to the managers, and to the team, to the leadership team. Because dentistry is so complex when we deal with these full rehabilitation cases, and you need to streamline all processes, make it quality, and make it safe for the patient. You need to provide continuity of care. All this stuff is led by great managers and great organizations in the world, and I hope it will result again in better care, in development of dentistry all across the globe.
And I guess as the final sort of remark, what would your advice be? As you mentioned, there's a lot of dentists now. Digital dentistry is probably the most exciting and hype topic right now. And it has been for a while in dentistry, but we are still not seeing huge numbers of adoption. Adoption, they say, of scanners up to 50% in the US, but everywhere else in the world, as you mentioned, it's a globe full of dentists. It's not just the US. Everywhere else in the world, it's 40, 30, 20, 10%. So we're not at mass adoption, like you said. I guess what would be your advice? There's a lot of dentists, even labs technicians, who are staring down, the barrel of the gun, and they keep hearing of digital technology. It's all around you. It's at all these expos, at all these conferences. All these new tools keep coming up, which are digital tools. What's your advice to them? How could they adopt? What would be your advice for them? Not just to adopt dentistry, because like you said, I think it's inevitable. Every practice will be digital. But for those people, do you have any kind of words of wisdom or what you've observed in your travels and your discussions with dentists globally?
Well, my advice is to immediately see the opportunity, or even I would say to see the threat and start adopting artificial intelligence technology in their office immediately. Because tomorrow we can be late. Because tomorrow they can start losing their patients, reducing the efficiency of their practices. And we're not talking about something crazy like buying a piece of equipment that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's just in your mind. You need to lead this change. And I know that is difficult sometimes because all the processes in our clinics are set up. Everyone knows what they're doing, the team members. We're so busy. When we come to our practices, we're so busy. But it's like have it or die. It's this type of situation. That would be probably my advice. That's the best thing people can do. Start using technologies that help so much and that are so affordable. It's just the question of their will.
Well, there you go, everyone. You heard it from the man himself. Take action. There's no point sitting around anymore. We all have to digitize. How far you go really comes down to you. And like Alex said, I mean, I love how he put it. It's not a matter of, having something, it's a threat because you're going to be the odd one out if you don't digitize in the next 5 to 10 years. But look, Alex, I know you're a very busy man. I really appreciate you jumping onto the podcast. For those of you who may have missed it, Alex is the founder of Diagnocat. So we're super fortunate to have someone so intelligent and so heavily invested in such a key part and such a upcoming part of dentistry like AI. And so once again, Alex, I appreciate your time. Thank you for jumping on.
It was exciting. Thank you.
I hope we'll talk in the coming months and see how the industry has evolved since.
I hope so too.
Take care. See you later, guys. And that's it for this month's episode of Digital Dentistry Decoded. Thanks so much for listening, and thank you to Alex Sanders for joining me today. If you enjoyed the show, remember to rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to sign up for our free digital dentistry courses at instituteofdigitaldentistry.com, and follow us in your favorite podcast app so you can listen to our next episode. Coming up next time on Digital Dentistry Decoded, the excitement around 3D printing dominating the future of dentistry has left many wondering, what does this mean for in-house milling? Can printing really replace milling completely? What indications should you use each technology for? And what are the key innovations that are happening right now on both fronts? Join me next time as we separate reality from hype. In the next episode, Making Sense of the Hype, the real scoop on 3D printing versus milling. I'll be sitting down with Dentsply Sirona's Max Mills to uncover the real differences between printing and milling, how they complement digital workflows together, and where each technology is headed. If determining whether to invest in a printer or a mill is giving you a pause right now amidst all the headlines, this upcoming episode delivers the reality check you need. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss this practical deep dive into understanding printing versus milling and when to use each technology. The digital dentistry revolution continues, and we're here to keep you at the forefront. You've been listening to Digital Dentistry Decoded. I'm Dr. Ahmad Al-Hassiny, helping you stay ahead of the curve in this dynamic world of digital dentistry. Thanks for listening.